So today we are at Curio Bay on the very far south coast of the South Island of New Zealand. And Curio Bay is a special place because it's on the wild coast and there are rocks here that date back from the Middle Jurassic, about 170 million years ago. And what's particular about this location is that when we look closely at the wave-cut platform that has been eroded flat by the sea, on this platform there are many tree stumps and logs that have been preserved and turned from wood into silica, which makes them very hard. So it is believed that the rocks around these tree stumps and logs are sandstones that were washed off the slopes of a big volcano somewhere nearby here, way back in the distant past. And the trees and the vegetation were overwhelmed by this volcanic mud flow and preserved so that we can see them today. So what we're going to do now is going to go down and explore this shore platform and see what we can find. So right at the bottom of the steps we have this huge tree trunk which would have been washed down with the debris in the mud flow from the volcano. You can see that this is not wood anymore, it's really hard silica rock. So that's why it's been preserved for so long, it hasn't decayed away. So what happens is when the tree dies and is buried in this very silica rich sediment, slowly the liquid percolates into the gaps in the cells in the wood and deposits the silica. So the silica gradually, if you like, fits into the spaces within the wood and becomes solid, and that's how the log becomes silicified. And the original wood may or may not remain for a while, or it might decay away. Now, at the time that this forest was living, there were no flowering plants. So these trees are conifers and tree ferns. So here we've got quite a big chunk of a tree stump. You can actually see the growth rings of the tree preserved. And studying these growth rings has shown that at this time, in the Middle Jurassic, where this forest was quite close to the Antarctic Circle, at that time there was no ice in Antarctica, so it was quite a warm climate on planet Earth, and the alternation of these growth rings has shown that there were actually kind of seasonal periods of rapid growth and less growth at that time. And here you can see the black carbon-rich layer. That was probably the floor of the forest at the time. So when we go to the back of the beach, we can see that actually this was not just a single event with one flood burying one forest, because it looks like here we have a dark carbon-rich layer which represents a forest floor. Then we have the volcanic sandstone on top, and then above it we see yet another black layer, which is another forest regrowing after that first event. As we go up the cliff you can see multiple layers, so it looks like the forest regrew and then was flooded over again and regrew another time, and so on, multiple times. If we explore around this area where we have these dark carbon-rich layers, sometimes we can find fossil remains of the plant material. And this is an example of some fern leaves, and another example here with more bits of a fern frond, telling us a little bit about the ecology of this forest at the time. One thing to remember is that this is a special scientific site, and it's really important that anything that we find in terms of wood fragments or fossils must be left here and not taken away. This is a particularly fine example of one of the tree stumps, over 1/2 meter across, and you can see those growth lines really clearly.